Well, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled Vaishnavi devotees. We thank you all for being here today. It's Friday, the last day of the busy week. And our scheduled speaker couldn't be here today. So we're stepping in to try to serve. So we're going to put the text on the screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevahaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevahaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevahaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayatu Dirayat Nashta Prayesh Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhakti Bhava Tirunashtiki. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, text number 6. Tavat bayam dravina deha suhrin nimitam shokaha spreha paripavo vipulas chalobaha tavan mamate asad avagraha artimulam yavanannate nrigram abayam pravrinta lokaha tavat bayam dravina deha suhrin nimitam Shoka spreha paribhava vipulas chalobaha tavan mamati asad avagraha artimulam yavananaten nigrim abayam prabhuta lokaha tavadabayam dravina dehasurin nimitam shoka spreha parabhiva vipulas chalobaha Tavan mamati asad avagraha artimulam yavanate nirigrim abayam pravrinta lokaha. Word for word transliterations. Tavat, until then. Bayam, fear. Dravina, wealth. Deha, body. Suhrit, relatives. Nimitam, for the matter of. Shukha, lamentation. Spriha, desire. Paribhavaha, paraphernalia. Vipulaha, very great. Cha, also. Lobaha, avarice. Tavat, up to that time. Mama, mine. Iti, thus. Asat, perishable. Avagraha, undertaking. Arti mulam, full of anxieties. Yavat, as long as. Na, do not. Te, yo. Angrim abayam, safe lotus feet. Pravinita, take shelter. Lokaha, the people of the world. Translation and purport by Jagat Guru Param Guru A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. So this is Lord Brahma praying, speaking. Lord Brahma praying to the Supreme Lord. So Lord Brahma says, "Oh my Lord, the people of the world are embarrassed by all material anxieties. They are always afraid. They always try to protect wealth, body, and friends. They are filled with lamentation and unlawful desires and paraphernalia. And they avariciously base their undertakings on the perishable conceptions of mine and mine. As long as they do not take shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxieties. Purport. One may question how one can always think of the Lord in regard to his name, fame, quality, etc. if one is embarrassed by thoughts of family affairs. Everyone in the material world is full of thoughts about how to maintain his family, how to protect his wealth, how to keep pace with friends and relatives, etc. Thus, he is always in fear and lamentation, trying to keep up with the status quo. In answer to this question, this verse spoken by PRABHU is very appropriate. A pure devotee of the Lord never thinks of himself as the proprietor of his home. He surrenders everything unto the supreme control of the Lord. And thus he has no fear for maintaining his family or protecting the interests of his family. Because of this surrender, he no longer has any attraction for wealth. Even if there is attraction for wealth, it is not for sense enjoyment, but for the service of the Lord. A pure devotee may be attracted to accumulating wealth just like an ordinary man. But the difference is that a devotee acquires money for the service of the Lord, whereas the ordinary man acquires money for his sense enjoyment. Thus, the acquisition of wealth by a devotee is not a source of anxieties, as it is the case for a worldly man. And because a pure devotee accepts everything in the sense of serving the Lord, the poisonous teeth of accumulation of wealth are extracted. If a snake has its poison removed and bites a man, there is no fatal effect. Similarly, where a wealth accumulated in the cause of the Lord has no poisonous teeth, and the effect is not fatal. A pure devotee is never entangled in material worldly affairs, even though he may remain in the world like an ordinary man. I'll take the translation again. Oh my Lord, the people of the world are embarrassed by all material anxieties. They are always afraid. They always try to protect wealth, body, and friends. They are filled with lamentation and unlawful desires and paraphernalia. And they avariciously base their undertakings on the perishable conceptions of mine and mine. As long as they do not take shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxieties. Om Ajana Timrandasya, Jnana Jana Shalakaya, Chakshu Anmalitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupakatama, Yam Dagati Swapadantikam. Vancha Kalpa Taribhyas Cha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirota Swamin Etinamine. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shritatmane Shri Guru Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tetinamine. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Etinamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschitari Shatarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Guru Tushya Namaha. Nama Brahmanya Devyago Brahmana Hitaya Chajagat Ditaya Krishna Govinda Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So devotees, we thank you for being here. This is a very important verse plus the purport, of course, as always, from Sri Prabhupada, is very, very important in the sense that the only way to tell whether something is liquid is that it can get things wet. The only way to tell if something is fire is to be able to feel the heat, the light, and sometimes the smoke. So the nature of this material world is that everyone is in anxieties. Everyone. You could be Lord Brahma, you could be an insignificant ant. Everyone has anxieties. That is just the nature of this world. But there is another world which is called Vaikuntha. It's a world without anxieties. So if one wants to live without anxieties, then one has to try to live as if he were in Vaikuntha, or he were in the world where there is no anxiety. So why there is anxiety in this material world and there is no anxiety in the Vaikuntha planets or the spiritual worlds? And it's very simple. The material world is designed in such a way that it comprises three different combinations of the Supreme Lord's energies. Actually, it's just one, but it's divided into three categories. The material nature, which is the external energy of the Lord, has three subsets under it, and they are called modes. So the positive one is the mode of goodness. And then we have the mode of passion, which is in between goodness, and then the mode of ignorance, which is characterized by laziness and abject ignorance. So because these three energies always move together, at a moment, one may be influenced by the mode of goodness, so he will behave as a normal human being with a human heart, with a human mind. And then, at some point, the mode of passion takes over, and he behaves with so much passion, so much energy to get things done, up to the point sometimes they do not care how they're going to get what they want. All they're looking for is how to get what I want. So oftentimes that comes with lots of unfavorable consequences. And then the mode of ignorance makes one a fool, ignorant, lazy, not knowing left from right, not knowing black from white. In actuality, they live just like animals. If you do not try to redirect them, they're always going to misbehave. So we all have these three different phases in our lives, and it's not like the mode of ignorance started 10 years ago. So now you are in the mode of passion, there is no more ignorance. And then 10 years to come, you will be in the mode of goodness. No, these three modes are always moving together. So once we are in this material world and we have these energies controlling us, there will always be anxiety. Anxiety means that we are so much worried over something we want get done that we are not sure whether we'll be able to get it done. something we want to achieve. We're not sure whether we're going to be able to achieve. So anxiety in itself is bad in this material world, but it is not totally bad, because anxiety is usually in the mode of passion. I think I was talking to somebody who we're reading about how Lord Brahma was praying to the Supreme Lord to be able to create. And we read that when Lord Brahma prayed to Krishna, Krishna infused Lord Brahma with the mode of passion in order for him to be able to create. Because if you do not have the passion, if you do not have the vigor, the energy to want to do something, you're not going to be able to do anything. So passion is good, not so bad, provided we use it in its proper way. Even ignorance can also be good at some point. Because if there, as we all said in here, my very good friend Harichakra Prabhu, who is here, if I happen to be told, and the whole drama is replayed to me, that in our previous life, Harichakra and I were very good friends. And then I visited Harichakra Prabhu when he was not in his home. And then I captured 3 of his children and butchered them, killed them. Can you, may Krishna forbid, this is just a crazy scenario I'm trying to depict. If you are aware of how bad someone had treated you, and you're not very advanced to a point where you can forgive that individual, how can you relate nicely with that individual? So sometimes ignorance of certain events or situations may be helpful to us. But oftentimes, ignorance is our greatest disease. Even the mode of goodness can also, we all know goodness is good, but it can also be harmful if it is not utilized or applied efficiently and appropriately. You know, Srila Prabhupada taught us that utility is the principle of this Hare Krishna movement. So we should be able to utilize whatever we have in such a way that we will use that to serve the Lord. The reason we have so much anxieties is because we're trying to serve and please our own selves. Either I'm trying to please myself, or I'm trying to please my family, or I'm trying to please my friends. And this goes on, it gets to a point sometimes somebody will try to do anything crazy just to help his friend. And in the course of trying to help the friend, he will get himself in trouble, get the friend in trouble, and they both will find themselves in jail. One may steal and go to jail. One may also preach and may be arrested and go to jail. So both the thief and the devotee of the Lord who was preaching are both in jail, but the feeling of being in jail is never going to be the same, because the one who stole understands that it is befitting for him to go to jail. That is what he deserves. Now, the one who was preaching and was arrested and put in jail, he also understands that sometimes when you want to serve the Lord, this is what happens. But as long as the devotee is in the jail there, and he knows that he is there because he served the Lord, if there should even be an anxiety in this devotee's heart, it's very minimal as compared to someone who acted stupid and found himself in jail. So the bottom line, as Srila Prabhupada expressed in the purport, is that because we are so much obsessed with mine and mine, this is my country, this is my territory, you cannot come here. And this building is mine, this land is mine, that is mine, you cannot touch it. These two things, mine, M-Y, and then mine, M-I-N-E, are primarily the root cause of our problems in this material world. But one who serves the Lord does not suffer from this mine and mine. Everything is Krishna's. The negative side or the danger to this approach or understanding also is that sometimes the devotee in his immaturity begins to think and act that everything belongs to Krishna. Krishna is the most powerful. Krishna is the most intelligent. So I don't really need to do much. If Krishna wants to protect his property, he will protect his property. If Krishna wants this person gone, the person will be gone. If Krishna wants this person to live, he will live. And as such, we care less about taking good care of Krishna's properties and assets. Krishna's properties and assets include every paraphernalia used in serving the Lord. That includes the temple, the land, the devotees, the books, the mridangas, the karatals, everything in relationship with Krishna are Krishna's paraphernalia. And so when we take very good care of these paraphernalia, that is when Krishna becomes happy with us. Because if we are with the mindset that Krishna is the Almighty Lord, he can do whatever he wants to do. So what actually do I need to do? Then how can we establish deity worship? The deities are standing on the altar and they're waiting for us to take care of them. Krishna is there, he can dress himself, so why do I have to dress him? That is how, unfortunately, some of us sometimes think and behave. But it's very wrong in the sense that in the spiritual world, everyone is serving the Lord. Even though the Lord is almighty in his magnificence, he could do anything and everything. But everyone in the spiritual world is basically serving the Lord. And that is why it is said that in the spiritual world, sometimes a soul may assume the form of a tree just to give breathing shade to the Supreme Lord to relax. A soul may assume the form of being a very soft surface, soft land for the Supreme Lord to walk on. So every soul in the spiritual world is always doing something to please the Lord, serving the Lord. And so if we want to live a life free of anxieties, then we have to serve the Lord. But even in this material world, when we try to serve the Lord, there is still going to be anxieties. If we're serving the Lord and there is no anxiety, then I do not know whom we're trying to serve. Because we see Srila Prabhupada was talking about karmis working so hard to accumulate so much wealth, but they're accumulating this wealth for their own sense gratification. Devotees do not struggle to accumulate wealth. But even if they struggle to accumulate wealth, they try to accumulate wealth not pleasing themselves with that accumulation of wealth. They're using that accumulation of wealth to serve the Lord. There is a pastime from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, where one time one Swami and his followers visited Srila Prabhupada. So they knew ahead of time that this Swami and his followers were going to visit Srila Prabhupada. So at that material moment, devotees had brought in so much money, and Srila Prabhupada had all this money laid up on his desk, and he was sitting behind the desk. And so when the devotees, when Srila Prabhupada's disciples got to know that this Swami and his disciples were all coming, they wanted to move all the money away because they didn't want this Swami to see that Srila Prabhupada, being a sannyasi guru, is dealing so much with money. So as they tried to move the money away, Srila Prabhupada asked them, why? Why are you moving the money away? And then they said, oh, this Swami and the disciples are all here. There are many of them, they are here. They're going to come to see the money. Srila Prabhupada said, leave them there. So the disciples left the money there. And this Swami and his disciples, they came in, and when they saw so much money sitting on Srila Prabhupada's desk, they were amazed. They said, wow, a sannyasi with all this money. That's what they were thinking. So Srila Prabhupada held conversations with them as usual. And then from time to time, Srila Prabhupada will call one disciple. Shamsundra. Yes, Srila Prabhupada. All right. And then Shamsundra Prabhu goes to see Srila Prabhupada. And then Srila Prabhupada will give lots of bundles of money to this devotee, Shamsundra. Says, this money is for the BBT. You have to reprint the books. And then he will call another disciple, Madhupati. All right, Srila Prabhupada is calling you. Madhupati goes to see Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada gives him bunch of money, right? This money is to take care of the rent of the temple. So at the end of their meeting, all the huge stack of money were all gone. And they were all gone in the service of Guru and Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada, knowing the mind of the Guru and the disciples, explained to them, see, this is how we serve Krishna. We collect so much money, but none of the money comes to us, ourselves. We use the money in the service of Guru and Krishna. So this is the life of devotees. And because devotees do anything and everything to please the Lord, even sometimes trying to accumulate wealth to serve the Lord, they do not suffer from anxieties. There is the anxiety to try to see that something positive happens. And sometimes it doesn't. And because it doesn't, we have such anxiety. And so in spiritual life, in this material world, if we practice spiritual life without anxiety, then we are abject failures. There should be anxieties, but the anxieties we have, it's not because we want to serve or please our own selves, but because we want to please the Lord and the servants of the Lord. If a devotee is sick and we are unable to help take care of the devotee, we should be in anxiety. But oftentimes, no, that anxiety is not there. We don't even see it. So that is not devotional service. Devotional service is that we keep our body in good health because, as we know, good health is wealth. If we do not have our bodies, if we do not have our minds intact, how are we going to be able to serve the Lord? We serve the Lord with our material body and senses. But this material body and senses have to be engaged in the service of Guru and Krishna. And so there are so many examples in the scriptures how unalloyed devotees of the Lord used everything they had, their body, their words, their strength, their intelligence, everything to serve the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5:11, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada states something very beautiful there about anxieties. And Srila Prabhupada explains in that purport that devotees have anxieties, but those anxieties are not meant for their own self-aggrandizement. It is because they are concerned, how am I going to please the Lord? No, I think sometime within this week, Harichakra Prabhu was giving a very nice scenario of a little girl who was having 2 apples in her hand, and her dad asked her to give him one of the apples. And she bit on both apples. And then she gave one to the dad. So the dad was perplexed. Just, why do you have to bite on both apples? I only asked for one. So, without knowing why the little girl did what she did, the father was unhappy. But the little girl said to the dad, I had to bite on the 2 apples I had in my hand to figure out which tastes better. And so I realized,
I'll take it away.
I realized that. Sorry.
Oil change. No, it's not oil change.
Sorry. I realized that the other one was much sweeter than the other one, so I gave you the sweeter one. So there the father was saying, oh. We read from the Ramayana also. I can't think of the name, but there was one devotee, a lady, who was receiving Lord Ram, and she had lots of nuts to offer to Lord Ram. But she was so poor, so she will have to bite on each nut to figure out which tastes better. And so she was packing those that tasted better. And those who didn't know what she was doing were ready to accuse her and blame her. What sort of nonsense? This is something you're going to offer to the Supreme Lord. You have to bite on it before. So this Mataji had the anxiety how to please the Lord. And so this anxiety made her bite on each nut to figure out which tastes better. Another time it said that one disciple was making a bed for his guru, and after he made the bed, he laid on it. And usually you do not lay on the bed that your guru is going to lay on it. But the reason he laid on it was to test to see how, when his guru lays on it, how he's going to feel. He does not want his guru to lay on a bed that is uncomfortable. So this anxiety should be there. The anxiety to want to do something good to please the guru and the devotees and the Lord should be there. Otherwise, we will not be able to serve the Lord. Even in material education, if one is studying to take an exam If you do not have anxiety, how are you going to do well in the exam? You're not going to be able to perform nicely. So anxiety is there, but this type of anxiety is not an anxiety that will lead you into depression. But those who are materialists, who are always thinking of mine and mine, when their anxiety increases, it leads them into depression. And once anxiety turns into depression, you become very, very diseased and incapable of doing anything and everything for yourself. So that is not what we do. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is trying to remind us that as devotees, whatever we do, we should aim at pleasing the Lord and serving his paraphernalia. In other words, we should be able to do anything and everything that is permissible to serve Krishna and his devotees. There was a time also in the early days of devotional service, there was one devotee who used to give lots of donations to Srila Prabhupada, monetary. And Srila Prabhupada was happy with his service. So some of the devotees who knew this particular devotee they knew how this devotee was making the money. So they went and told Srila Prabhupada, this devotee that always comes and donates money to you, Srila Prabhupada, he steals. He's a thief. He steals money to please you. And as a matter of fact, this individual, whatever he stole, he did not even take a dime. He brought everything to Srila Prabhupada. So when Srila Prabhupada heard about it, he called him. He called the devotee. And then he asked him. And the devotee confessed. He says, yes, Srila Prabhupada, I steal. Because I want to serve you. I want to help your movement. Srila Prabhupada appreciated, and then he told him, this should be your last day. You should never steal. So when I am saying, or scriptures say, that we should do anything and everything to serve the Lord, to please the Lord and his devotees, does not mean that we should do something illegal. We should do something criminal. But whatever is permissible in the civilized society that one can do and earn money, one should be able to do that, earn the money, and use the money to serve the Lord. And if we have goals, if we have plans that we want to do this, we want to do that to serve the Lord, then there will be an anxiety. How am I going to be able to come up with all these things I need to serve the Lord? Devotees have anxieties building the temple planetarium because it involves lots of money. We have lots of devotees who are working so hard, and they're using all this hard-earned money to help build this planetarium because that was the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. I least realized until we started reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita recently how Srila Prabhupada gave vivid, lucid, clear description of how he wanted the planetarium built. And I was shocked. So Srila Prabhupada gave all the description of how he wants to see the planetarium built. And those who are trying, it should be all of us. Every single individual in ISKCON should help see that this planetarium comes into existence. And there are some devotees who have volunteered. They're working so hard. They're using all their strength. They're using all their intelligence. They're using all their money to help this come into life. And so there is anxiety. There is anxiety that if we do not do this properly, maybe the dome can collapse. So there is an anxiety. Anxiety is something we cannot run away from. It is wounded together with this material world, just like heat is wounded around fire. So anxiety is always going to be there, but how we use this anxiety to serve Guru and Krishna versus how we use this anxiety to serve ourselves is what makes the difference. And therefore, we should try to do anything and everything that is permissible in society to serve the Lord and his devotees. In other words, if a devotee is going through some difficulties and we have the means of helping that devotee, we should not become aloof. We should not think that, well, it's the devotee's karma. Or we say, well, Guru and Krishna will make it happen. Krishna will help him. Krishna will help him sometimes. Krishna has sent you, the very person saying Krishna will help him, to be the person to help him. And you here saying that Krishna will help him. So we are all to be used as instruments of the Lord to serve the Lord and his devotees, and also take care of every single paraphernalia of the Lord. In other words, mobile or immovable assets should be taken care of. And if we were devotees, true devotees, we will do anything and everything to preserve and please the Supreme Lord much more than we want to do whatever to please ourselves. Because we know that pleasing ourselves does not give us ultimate happiness. Because Krishna is the storehouse of happiness. But if we want to please ourselves to become happy, even if we're able to achieve some happiness, it's very temporary. But when we are able to please the Lord, and the Lord becomes happy with us, that is when we become really happy in life. So I would like to end here, and if devotees have questions, comments, reflections, you may want to ask or share in regards to this theme, please, you may do that. Hare Krishna. Any question? All right. Today, like I said earlier, today is Friday. Is the last day. Is the last day of the busy week, and we pray to their lordships and the Parampara to help guide us through the weekend and bring us back next week. Anadi Nidanam Prabhu, please, you may unmute. Hare Krishna.
Sahadev, PRABHU, accept my humble obeisances.
Yeah,
And all glory to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
PRABHU, I just want to know, you see, I've been thinking in my little mind that talking about ignorance and knowledge, what could be the plight of someone who is in knowledge and yet breaking the principles, and of someone who is total ignorance? I would like to know the plight of these two people.
Well, thank you. It's a very good question. We all know that ignorance is not an excuse. But if I, being an ordinary street guy, hides like some amount of weed on me and I get caught, I will be sentenced. I will be sent to jail. Now, if a judge is caught with the same amount of weed that I had on me and got me arrested, is also found with weed, he will be judged, he will be sent to jail, and obviously his term is going to be much longer than mine. So knowledge, we all know, knowledge is power. But we do not want to deal with power as much as we want to deal with powerful. Okay, and that is why we try to serve the Lord, because the Lord is the powerful. His energies have power, but we want to deal with the powerful. So if someone knows what is right and does not do what is right, he only knows. It's just literally. But when one knows and puts that knowledge into action, then he becomes a wise person. So we prefer to deal with wise people rather than those who have knowledge. And that is why Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that knowledge ends up with the Supreme Lord, Vedanta Krit. Now people try to accumulate knowledge, and they are unable to get to the end of knowledge. The end of all knowledge is Krishna. And so it is very, very absurd that one will know what is right and still not do it. Or sometimes use the knowledge to abuse others and the system. Some people go to school to study criminology, to study how people commit crime. And so you know all the ins and the outs, how people commit crime. And you know you are being taught this so that you can use that to help society curb criminals from society. But some people use this knowledge to steal from the society. And when somebody does that, he is severely punished, much more than one who didn't know. There is also a pastime in the Mahabharata when Yudhishthira was newly made the king. Because when he was made a king, there were lots of opposition, as we all know. So there were 4 people who stole. 4 people, they're like a gang, and then they stole. And they were all brought to Yudhishthira to judge and give them a sentence. But he judged them differently. Someone got higher sentence, another got a lesser sentence, and then ubiquitous Shakuni started laughing. I told you that this Yudhishthira is not qualified to be a king. How is it that 4 people have stolen the same thing? They all ganged up and stole the same thing, but he is giving different sentences to all 4. So this accusation got to the hearing of Maharaj Yudhishthira. And Maharaj Yudhishthira had to use that as an opportunity to educate Shakuni and the audience that these are 4 different classes of people who stole, and they have to be judged accordingly. If someone is a Brahmin, if someone is a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, and all 4 people steal, you cannot judge them the same way. Because one is in knowledge, he knows the appropriate way to use the knowledge to help people, but he used it to hurt people. The other one didn't know. So he's going to be judged. Ignorance is not an excuse, but his sentence, the weight of his punishment, will not be as heavier as the one who is in knowledge. And therefore, Srila Bhaktivinoda has also said in his Sharangrahi, I think Sharagrahi, I'm not sure if I'm getting the word right. But I played the video here a couple times ago where Srila Bhaktivinoda states that Those who call themselves Vaishnavas, but use that as an opportunity to swindle people, will be the first people to be judged and punished. Yes. Even in the Bible also, Lord Jesus Christ also said the same thing. It says the judgment will begin from the house of the Lord. So those who call themselves the worshippers of God and use the name of God and everything to cheat and swindle people will be the first people to be judged, and they will be punished very, very severely because they are abusing the knowledge given to them to help society and help themselves. So I don't know if someone else has something else to add. If I did it, Prabhu, if you are quite okay with the answer I gave. Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes, quite okay. Yeah, the reason why I asked this question is, you see, oftentimes we the devotees we are in much knowledge, but yet we break principles a lot using the chanting of the holy name as a yardstick. And the analogy or the history that backs your answer in terms of those 4 people that were brought to Yudhishthira Maharaj is also very powerful in the right direction. So I think that is okay. I think going forward we should be careful because we are in knowledge, and those who are ignorant, we have to educate them. But
Yeah.
yesterday we use the chanting of the holy name as a yardstick, and we break principles. You see,
Well,
so
if someone
mm,
is trying to be a sincere, true devotee, he will not break principles in the name of chanting the holy names of the Lord, because there are 10 offenses against the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And one of such 10 offenses is to keep committing sins in the name of chanting the holy names of the Lord to counteract the sins. And I will not mention names, but I've heard from one devotee who says that Krishna is going to judge me based on my good and bad things. So I can do bad things and I would do something good to balance it. I mean, if somebody speaks like that, it's just a fool. Excuse me my language. What? How do you say that God is going to judge me based on how many good I have done and how many bad I have done? And so I'm going to do some bad things and try to do some good things to balance out the bad things. No, Krishna is not happy with quantity. He's happy with quality. Why do I want to serve the Lord? Because I just want to serve him. I just want to please him. But if I want to do so much just to let people see that I am doing the most, there are so many, every single thing we can think of is already described in the scriptures. We all know about the story of Sri Hanuman and the spider. Hanuman was carrying heavy boulders, rocks, to help build the bridge of Lanka. And the spider was also carrying pebbles. And Hanuman was trying to push the spider away. We are doing the great things, and you look at what you're doing. But the Supreme Lord chastised him. He says, no, you are doing what is within your capacity. That little spider is also doing what is within his capacity. So it is unfortunate that sometimes devotees have this unfortunate assumption that I can commit sin, I can do what I'm not supposed to do, and then do what I'm supposed to do in a very nice way to balance out what I knew I didn't have to do, but I did it. No, that is not how Krishna works. Krishna deals with the devotees based on the love. Okay. But even that love has to be genuine and has to be appropriate. Like I was talking about this devotee who was stealing to serve Srila Prabhupada. He never took a dime from any single thing he stole, but still Srila Prabhupada stopped him because it's not proper. Dr. Hassan, please give me unmute.
Krishna, Your Grace, please can you accept my respectful obeisances?
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
All glory to Gurudev, all glory to Prabhupada, and all glory to you. Your Grace, thank you for this wonderful class. And Your Grace, my question is, well, you are a devotee, and there's two people you have to help. One is a devotee and one is not a devotee, but you have the ability to help only one person. And when it comes to this situation, who do you have to help? Who do you have to use what you have to help? The devotee or the one who is not a devotee? Because as devotees, we believe that whatsoever comes on our way is the arrangement of Krishna. But the person who is not a devotee, he will think that, you are very wicked. You have the chance to help me, but you didn't help me. So in this situation, who do you have to help? If you have to ability to help only one person. This is my question, Your Grace. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the question. I will give a counter question to you and to the audience. If your son is playing with his friend and your son and his friend are both in danger and you can only help one, who are you going to help?
Oh, Krishna. It's your son, of course.
Yes. So if there is a devotee and there is non-devotee, and there is a situation where you can only assist one of them, and it's like, excuse me to say, life and death situation, you can only save one. This is not scriptural. It's just, excuse me to say, my common sense. So if someone has a scriptural support to what I'm saying, please you may share that. I would believe that saving the devotee will be much more necessary than saving the karmi, because if one is able to save the devotee in turn will be able to come back into life and save so many other souls from going to hell. That is what I would do, but I do not know what others think. So please, if you have any answer to Dr. Hassan's very important question, please you may share. But like I said, just as I will first of all reach out to my son, which is natural emotion, I will do the same to a devotee and a non-devotee, especially if the chances is being able to save only one at a time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace.
Shrimara Prabhu, yes, please hear me on mute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Please answer my humble obeisances. All goes to the Prabhupada.
Kijai.
All goes to the devotees. So, there are a few things there. That story of Yudhishthira judging the 4 people. Actually, it was a test.
Okay.
A test given to him and Duryodhana in order to see who is more qualified.
Yeah.
Okay. And the 4 people were actually representing different different social division. So this is where the story gets interesting. The 4 people committed the same crime, and remember, all of them belong to different social divisions. So a Brahmana was also among them. Duryodhana, in his own judgment, condemned all of them. Yudhishthira gave appropriate punishment to the different social division, caste, but he did not punish the Brahmana. So this is the interesting part. And then they ask him, why you are not punishing the Brahmana? He said, because the Brahmana is of a higher caste. He should know better. So the judgment is not in his hand, but in the hand of Krishna. So, in one sense, why I have to refer to this is that we have to be like Yudhishthira did. He was careful not judging a devotee. Even as a king, he will not award punishment to the devotee. Now that was the intelligence of Yudhishthira, because he considered that the Brahmana is higher than him and better than him. So if he does anything wrong, it's not in his place to condemn him. It's between him and Krishna. So I think there's a lesson to learn from that. Because what we've been saying up to now is like we can judge everybody accordingly. But the Brahmanas are saintly people. The scripture says that, I mean, we all know this. We know what the scripture says about that. Chapter 9, text 30. Abhishek Sudura Sharu. Even if he commits abominable action, it should still be considered okay. And you may see a devotee acting like wrongly, but it's difficult to judge because by the time you see him next time, maybe he's already abandoned that. So Srila Prabhupada said it's like somebody in a bedroom. You cannot say that, you cannot accuse the person that he's dirty because it's in the bedroom. It will come out clean. So I just want us to understand that there's some nuances about this judgment thing. And we have to be able to understand properly how to deal with devotees who outwardly may seem to be doing something wrong. If we do speak and we criticize, sometimes for their own good, we're not actually thinking that we want them punished or we want to do something to correct them. So anyway, so I just want to point that out, that it is not exactly that Yudhishthira single out the Brahmana as an offender. He actually absorbed him in some way. He did not say that he did not commit offense, but he said his judgment is not in his hand. So that's one. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. But the second part is the question about whom to assist or whom to help, a devotee or a non-devotee. So that is a difficult question. Because a devotee is already a friend. A devotee is already a well-wisher. And we know that Krishna will always come to the aid of the devotee. But the non-devotee, it may be his opportunity to become a devotee. The fact that you help him may be a reason for him to want to become devotee, that these people are kind people, they are good to me. It's been good to me, so let me try to also follow him. And the devotee that seems to be neglected, Krishna takes care. Krishna takes care of his devotee. Krishna is the well-wisher of his devotee. So if somebody decides to help the non-devotee, it may not be wrong. But like you gave the example of the son who is in danger and the friend is in danger. So it depends on the circumstance. It depends on what kind of help they need. If it is a question of life and death, well, maybe one may decide to save the devotee because he has a role to play to help humanity. But if it is a material needs, in terms of material needs, then giving the help to a non-devotee may not be wrong, because it may inspire him to become a devotee. And the devotee that is not helped, it's not that it's not helped, it's because we believe that Krishna will take care of it. So anyway, these are just some contributions. I'm not saying absolutely. They are difficult situations. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Well, Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Srimad Bharacharya Prabhu, for sharing this depth of wisdom with us. Yeah, I agree with you that if it is not like a life and death situation, and depending on the circumstance, you may help the non-devotee, which is nothing wrong. But what I was saying is if it's between life and death, and just like if it's between life and death, between my son and my son's friend, and I could only help one at a time, it is natural that I'm going to help my son. So in the same way, if it's between life and death, and it's between a devotee and non-devotee, I'm going to help the devotee first. The text you referenced, which is Bhagavad Gita 9:30, Apichet Su Durucharo. Let me see if I can put it up here. Apichet Su Duracharo. It says, even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. This is one of very few purports that Srila Prabhupada spoke very, very heavily. Because Srila Prabhupada had to speak so heavily on this purport, on this text, so that devotees do not use this as a reason to act nonsensically. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport here that on the other hand, one should not misunderstand that a devotee in transcendental devotional service can act in all kinds of abominable ways. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusory energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subjected to such fall downs, as previously explained. No one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If he does not improve in his character by devotional service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee. So yes, if a devotee accidentally commits some mistake, he should be pardoned. But if it becomes a habit that a devotee is always fond of doing something crazy, he should be the first person to be punished, because he is abusing the name of God. He is misusing the name of God. He is misusing the service of God for his own sense enjoyment. We talked about mine and mine. If a devotee knowingly continues to commit things he is not supposed to be doing, and he knows, like Anadi Nanam initially asked, he knows that he should not be having an affair with women that are not his wife. He knows this. Once in a blue moon, one may fall, because that is what Srila Prabhupada is saying. It's a war against material nature, and material nature is very powerful. So that might happen. And then that person may be forgiven. But if it becomes a habit, then what do you do? And in fact, it is said, just like in medicine, when there is an auto accident, there are three classes of people that you're going to be attending to. There are those whose accident are so dangerous that attending to them, you have just like maybe 10% of making them survive. And there are others who, from the results of the accidents, they have 90% of surviving. And there are those who are like 50% surviving or dying. And in this case, those who are in between surviving or dying are those you first attend to. And so if someone is a devotee, he knows all the principles and he keeps doing the very opposite, then you forget about him, attend to somebody else. Because what are you going to do? All you can do is to give him the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Give him love. He knows the philosophy. He feels the love, and yet he keeps committing the same sinful activities. So, Srila Prabhupada in his purport is saying that devotees should not use this as a reason to commit sin. Just like Anadi Nidanam asked somebody committing sin and thinking that he can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to counteract it. No, that is not how it works. But just like Srimad Acharya Prabhu was saying, Yudhishthira, being a devotee, at one point, in this particular instance, had this mood of not punishing the Brahmin because he felt the Brahmin is superior to him. But that is not the always or the everyday style of judging. Otherwise, the Brahmins will keep doing whatever they want to do, and they know that they're going to be pardoned. So that is my little understanding to this. Hare Krishna, and thank you all devotees. Maybe we may bring this to an end.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Chakra Prabhu.
Yeah, the another aspect of that story about this. Actually, Yudhishthira said he is not capable of punishing the Brahmin. So he gave the authority to the Kuru Guru, Kripacharya. He said, so he leaves the Brahmin to Kripacharya. He is the one who can pronounce the judgment for the Brahmin. And the Brahmin, being in knowledge, he himself declared that he's going to punish himself by emulating himself. So in other words, Yudhishthira gave the authority to Kripacharya. But even Kripacharya, before Kripacharya even pronounced anything, the Brahmin himself punished himself by declaring that he's going to emulate himself, he's going to kill himself for actually committing that offense. Actually, the offense was that they killed somebody.
Yeah.
Duryodhana was saying that all of them should be killed. And Sakuni was hailing Duryodhana that he's a perfect king.
Yeah.
He gives equal judgment to everybody. And where Yudhishthira was saying, I think Yudhishthira gave 6 years to the Sudra. He gave 12 years. No, I think I've forgotten it. But eventually, when it came to the turn of the Brahmin, he said he cannot pronounce any judgment on the Brahmin. So he left that one to Kripachaya. And Kripachaya, before even Kripachaya opened his mouth to say something, the Brahmin himself pronounced his own judgment by saying that he's going to emulate himself. Now, the second aspect of the question of who to save, that one is a lot of things must come into play. Because in actuality, if somebody is really a devotee, then we know that already he's in the proper situation of going back home, back to God. But the non-devotee, maybe he's been given the opportunity. He's been given the opportunity to be saved, so that he can also make progress on the spiritual life. But like Shema PRABHU was saying, it depends on the circumstance.
Yeah.
Other than that, yep.
Well, please, someone may help me out here. There is this pastime. Gurudev said it a couple times, if not many times, that 3 people, one was told, you may die today or you may not die. And another one, he was told that do not die. Do not die today. Do not die tomorrow. And then the third one, I don't remember. But the reason is that one who was a very powerful devotee says, you may die today, you may die tomorrow. It doesn't matter, because when you die, you're going to attain Krishna. So that reminds me, that story reminds me of what Srimad PRABHU was saying. If a devotee dies, if he's a real devotee, then there is no loss per se. But if someone is a non-devotee, you would wish that he does not die. He will have the opportunity to know Krishna and serve Krishna. So, but I don't remember the exact story. But there is a story where it says that one who was a very pure devotee says, you may die today, you may die tomorrow, it doesn't make any difference. There was one who was a very, very wicked individual, says, do not live, because if you live, you're going to suffer. Do not die. When you die, you're going to suffer. So,
Yeah, if I can come.
yeah.
Can I come?
Yeah, please, yes.
So it's an astrologer.
Okay.
Astrologer, a sage, who knows how to read the future. So he was traveling through the city, and everybody wanted him to read their future. So he said, I will divide the country or the city to a number of people, 3 or 4. So he said the king and the prince, the king and the prince of the wealthy class. So he said the prince. And then there's the apprentice or the brahmachari student. And there is the butcher, the butcher. I think, yeah, these are the things. So for the devotee, he said you can die or you can live. Because if you're living, you are increasing your punya, and if you die, you're going back. And then to the butcher, he said, don't die and don't live. You die, oh, is hell waiting for you. You continue to live, oh, you are creating more hell for yourself. So your life is very precarious. And for the king, he said, for you, you can live as long as you want. Live as much as you want. Because now your destiny, your whatever is very good, but After that, what is waiting for you, you don't know. So you can you can live as much as you want.
Thank you for sharing this wonderful pastime. It's interesting. Almost everything is explained in the scriptures. So we thank you all, devotees. We're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves. And we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to the Supreme Lord and the Parampara for helping us come together to hear about the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Rama, Tarubhyasya,
Vancha Kapatarabhya
Jai.
Kripa Sandabhya Ivata, Patitanam Pavanabhyo, Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha.
Nanta Kuti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.